Okay, so let's look at wealth again. So we talk about, earlier you mentioned $1 million, having $1 million in your bank. So would you consider that enough? I remember we talked about how you said, hey, you have to have $1 million in the bank.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And also from a kind of conceptual kind of or rather philosophical, if you will.
Okay, sure.
In your view,
Ready?
Because
okay,
you have like a big house,
but not only a big house, it's just a convenient location house.
Okay, expensive house. Let's just say like an expensive house and a jet, and of course you have your money that you go into your investments and all that kind of stuff. And you also mentioned you have to have that kind of capital for yourself.
Right.
So in your view, what would you consider to be enough wealth?
Well, I guess that's never going to be enough depending on what your goals are. Whether you want to become a millionaire, call it a centi-millionaire, 100 million guy, or $1 billion. And of course, you need to have a vehicle to get there, isn't it? It's one thing to say, I want to become a billionaire, but how? Isn't it? So some people do startups, which is really the poor man's way to getting there, which is what all these guys, phenomenal guys did, isn't it? But bringing back to earth, to me, is that, see, if you look at the B quadrant and the I quadrant, isn't it? Business, investment. So here's the problem. This is my personal opinion, is that a lot of business people are very poor investors, which means they generate a lot of cash flow. They have no idea what to do with the money itself. And that is sad, because without being financially savvy, they're not able to grow their cash flow. In fact, a lot of business owners don't need to work anymore. They do not know it. You see. They're just they create their own rat race, to be honest, because they are good at one thing but not at the other thing. On the other hand, you have the investors who know nothing about business but savvy investment. Or that is good if they don't make a mistake. But if they make a mistake, economic crisis and all these things, especially those guys who from employment went straight into investment, may not be able to crawl out their hole, if their source of funds was time for money. So I always tell people, don't be naive, economic recessions, political stability, we have no control. So if I were you, work on a business model that gives you some cash flow, so that, even if you lose all your investment, you're not going to start from zero, because that business gives you some kind of cash flow. And ideally, you want to run a business with minimum effort on your part, gives you some cash flow, and be savvy financially to be able to invest that cash flow wisely to grow the real wealth itself. As I said, money is a great asset to grow. Yes. And a lot of the wealth creation process is money make money. That's the truth. Yeah. And it's far easier, of course, to make money with money than with no money, because you have a lot more options and a lot more possibilities.